All right. After watching the film, you can see things that are really good and things that are not good at key moments, and that's kind of where we're at as you really watch it. We got to learn to respond to challenges of the moment, and that's going to be the key for us and going forward, and it has been. And I think that's what we're still in the process of learning right now. And you have to meet the challenge of the moment, whenever it was. Those key moments, those key situations, and things that we have always been able to do, but we have to learn to continue to do that. And unfortunately, you learn through adversity. And you're learning, you know, the way that happens, you have to go through those experiences, you got to feel. And I'm going to be honest with you, we feel awful. There is no easy way to say that loss is going to go away. A loss isn't going away. You have to use it. It eats at us. It makes us, we as coaches feel awful. We as players feel awful. We as an organization feel awful, just like the fans do. There's no problem with that. I understand that. But what you got to do is take those adverse moments and learn from them and learn what that feels like and need to be the ingredients that help in your development as a player, as a coach, and everything you do. And you got to get them to think about the basics and the things they got to do to execute in those moments and be able to play. But like I say, I mean, it's just things that have to, as I say, life experiences that you go through. And it's not from lack of want to, it's not from lack of practice, it's not from lack of anything. We have to learn to handle those moments and do our best in those exact moments. Like I say, I always say, you can be 3 for 3 in a baseball game, have no significant hits. You can be 0 for 3 and get to hit with 2 outs in the ninth that drives in 2 runs and be a hero. And that's what I think we're going through. And those kids got to learn that. They have to understand that. And we as coaches have to keep preparing them to understand it, put them in position, make sure that fundamentals, the basics, the things we ask them to do, they understand and they do, and for them to relax and do them. And like I say, that's got to be the ingredient to motivate you to go forward, so that feeling doesn't happen again. But as far as their heart, their desire, their competitive nature, the ability to bounce back, the ability to fight, scratch, claw, I don't question that at all. And I don't question the other, except that we have to do a better job as coaches to get them to understand that. And that's my job and our coach's job. And I'll stay on our coaches to be detail-oriented on every aspect of the game, everything they teach. I'll be detailed with them. I'll be detailed with the guys that I interact with when I coach. And we'll go right back out there and we'll line up and we'll play and go at it again. And that's about how we got to go. But as far as there was a lot of good things in the game, some guys made some big plays, some young guys getting better. Offensively, defense, there was great stretches on defense. We gave up the first drive, then had a bunch of 3 and outs. They got a score. Had the huge 4th down stop, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. I mean, they were in field goal range to kick a field goal to go ahead. And we stop them and have a tremendous drive all the way back down, execute, and just unfortunately put the ball in. We handed it off with a poor technique, and it fell out. And so there's a lot of good things on offense. To battle back 28-14 and do that, have good opening. And again, opened up drives really well. Red zone with 3 for 3, 3rd down, 50% again. So all those things are going up, increasing. But again, it goes back to playing the key moments. And you got to be able to do that, and we got to get them ready to do that and keep coaching them. Questions?
Jimbo, you said on Saturday that you've got to get your coaches to coach them better, and you're going to look at every detail of what you're doing. Do you still feel confident that your coaches can put your players in the best position to win?
No doubt. I think we're in position to win. We're in position to make the plays. We're right there to make the plays. We just have to execute them and do them and get them confidence and thinking the right things. And what I mean by that is when you're up there, and I'm talking about going through these adverse moments, sometimes you're thinking about the result. Man, I want to make a play here. I want to get a stop here. I want to guard the guy. No, you got to think about, how am I going to guard the guy? How am I going to block the guy? How am I going to throw the ball? How am I going to hand it off? It's the details and the fundamentals. But just, I know that sounds crazy, but it's that you get outcome-oriented instead of process-oriented in the biggest moments. Because you want to win. You say, man, I want this. I want to do it so hard. But then all of a sudden, sometimes you forget one little fundamental that lets a guy beat you in a block or get open on you or jam you at the line of scrimmage, or you look at the wrong thing as a quarterback just for a second. What you got to think of is get them to understand how to think of the fundamental things in those big key moments, and we keep putting those situations out there.
Jimbo, staying on that subject, when you evaluate this program at the end of the year and this team, where do you find the balance between your record is your record? Like right now you're 2-4, but you're literally 3-4 plays away from being 5-1. How do you find the balance moving forward of what maybe needs to change and what is really close to being good again?
Well, and that I do that at the end of every year. When we were 13-0, when we were 10-3, when we were 12-1, those things. It's always been. I keep saying it's very close, and that's where you as a coach you have to make the adjustments, and then you have to make whatever changes you need as far as what your schemes are, what you're going to do, how you change this part of your program, how do you, that's why I'm constantly, those are the things I talk about all the time when you're trying to add an operations building. To be able to get, I know that sounds not a time for that, but I'm saying, do I have a room to do this? Do I have something to do this? Can I have resources and money to be able to go invest in this or bring in consultants or bring in people who help change in that? It's a ever-changing thing, even when you're winning. It's not that you want things, but you're constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve in everything you do. And we evaluate it from nutrition to weights to off-season. I mean, you guys have no idea the amount of time and how we strain and stress over every 365 days a year and every hour in which they spend, whether it's academics, how much time in study hall, how can we make study hall more efficient, how can we make school more efficient, how can we do this to take less stress, I mean, whether it's taking stress off the kids, whether it's doing this. I mean, that whole process is what we have to do, and we do it every year, and that's something you constantly have to do. And that's why I constantly ask for different things, money, resources, the things you have to have, because if you're not doing that, even when you're 13-0, a lot of behind-the-scenes things, it hurts. And sometimes you have resources to do it, sometimes you don't. So you have to adjust and adapt.
Jimbo, obviously the offense has had, it seems like all season there's been injuries and things like that to deal with. Defensively, though, how would you grade, midway through the season, how would you evaluate how the defense is performing?
I don't want to give a grade on the season because I haven't. I kind of grade weekly on how we're doing and what we think are progressing and how we're doing it. I mean, we've had some huge moments. But again, we've had those moments where we haven't had the critical plays at the critical moments. I mean, on offense or defense, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that where I see us, the biggest things we have to improve. Is understanding those, like you said, 3 or 4 or 5 plays away, making those. Because for the 7 years we've been here, we've made those plays. We have made them. And why we're not making them, and understanding how to get those kids to think the right way, like I said, not thinking, because sometimes when you're at a place that has success, well, you think, we're going to win it. We always do. Or I want to win, or it's pressure on me, I want to win it so bad. You know what I'm saying? They want to win it so bad. Or as coach, but get them to think, okay, this is the play. We're going to win or lose based off what I do, and this is what I got to think to make that work. And I think that's the thing where I think the big evaluation is our. You know what I mean? I'm not grading the defense at midpoint. I think that's the biggest thing I see right now is our issue from not having a really successful season right now to what we're doing right now.
And then with Jacques Patrick's injury, if you could talk more about that, did it happen Saturday?
It happened in the game.
It happened in the game.
Jacques is his body does not swell. Usually when you get a guy what he did tore cartilage in his knee. Okay, and usually when guys do that, it swells up or an ankle. Jacques, even when he used to have swollen ankle injuries, he would never swell. His body didn't swell. You know what I'm saying? So he said, "My knee just feels funny, but I'm all right." And he played. He played on it. And then a couple times he'd come out and say, "Boy, my knee just for a second. Give me a second." You know, sometimes like you strain it or stress it, which in football, things like that happen all the time. And then we said, and even on Sunday, he was limping, but he was okay. And we said, let's get an MRI on this I always tell Jake to do that all the time. And then he saw that it was torn.
And then on that note, obviously you guys have a lot of running backs, but could you talk about moving on without him, especially his leadership and then also
his leadership, just his overall knowledge. And what y'all don't understand, I say that backs, tight ends, all those guys that interact with chipping on pass protections, how to know on a certain blitz, and guys, when you can, all right, I got to help which lineman I'm helping. I get certain looks. Okay, I'm going to help that lineman on that blitz. Well, if I do that, I can't, knowing how to help that guy. I mean, a lot of knowledge and experience from him, not just running. Now, the way he's running the football, he's doing a great job. Running with power, catching the ball, but blocking, chipping, all the little nuances that kind of go unnoticed, but as a football coach you love. I mean, that's a big thing you got to replace for him. And that's why I was so happy, and I've been bragging on him so much, not just the results of the runs, which we all see. It's the team aspect, and then him being a team leader and all the things that he's been doing. That hurts for me. Like I say, he broke down crying, and I about did do it with him. I mean, it hurt me to have him do it because it means everything to him. And it finally, all the little things were clicking for him. You know what I'm saying? And it's a shame. It really is.
Kind of on that note, though, Jacques definitely seems like the kind of guy he's still going to be involved.
No doubt. He's first thing, help the other guys get ready. You know what I'm saying? He's a tremendous kid.
And sticking with that, Cam Akers, you know what you have with him, I guess. What does the running back rotation look like? Who are guys you kind of look at
we'll
now?
see. We'll get Cam going, and that's why that's going to be the role for Cam. I mean, even You know, we talk about Cam. Dalvin wasn't even running the ball as much now. You know what I'm saying? And Cam's been forced in that role, and he's done a good job. But now he's got to do all those little nuances that really make a difference in your offense, and that's going to be another role that's put up on him he'll have to do. But, you know, Amir Rasul, who has played as much, but has played, I've been outstanding on in camp. Ryan Green's done that, and Kalen LeBourne has done a good job in practice, keep coming on. Of course, you got Zakondre in that group. So, and Vickers we can use off and on as a one-back, two-back guy in that group. So, but Amir, Ryan Green, those guys will all get back into the mix. And are in the mix, but they'll get more time.
Jimbo, is there a timetable for Jacquez as far as recovery and when he comes
I don't. I won't be able to know till they do the surgery. This week. It'll be this week. They're working on all that right now.
All right, we'll go to the phone. Matt, you can go ahead.
I'm sorry, you broke up. You broke up, Matt. Can you repeat it, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Josh Kingo had a nice play against Louisville. Fumble. What kind of progress have you seen from him this season?
A lot. I mean, Josh is a very conscientious guy, very smart guy, highly intelligent. Means a lot to him. It just gets better and better in all the. Early was in pass rush situations. Now he's gotten in there in rundown situations, playing more and more, and he's going to be a heck of a player. We're very pleased with his progress. Extremely pleased.
He's one of the, I think it's 3 or 4 guys from IMG Academy that you have. Can you tell the guys that are from IMG, or did they come in more developed at all?
Well, some do, some do. I mean, I don't like to make a generalization of that because other kids from other programs come in really ready too. Those guys get a lot of coaching. They do a great job down there. And for the most part, those guys come in. What they do understand, though, being in that environment and away from home, it's more like a college atmosphere as far as having a dorm life and things like that. They know that part of it, I think they really get adjusted to very well. But they do a great job coaching them too, and those kids have come in very well prepared. Thank you.
All right, Chris, you can go ahead.
Hey, Jimbo, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Talk about Boston College defense. It seems like they're pretty good at getting better each week. They played against Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame had 2 running backs, plus the quarterback and all that stuff. What do you see on their defense that might be a problem Friday night?
Well, I mean, one, they're versatile. A lot of blitzes, a lot of different fronts. Landry is a beast on the end. He can rush the passer. He can play the run. The other end, Allen, too, is now, if you look at their stats, I've never seen a defensive end leading them in tackles. And then he's one sack behind Landry, and he's tied for him in tackles for loss, too, because I know everybody spends a lot of time on Landry, but they got a lot of other players. The backers are active inside. 94 is physical. He's strong. 96 is strong. Corners, it's the same guys that have been there forever. I mean, and they're big. They're physical. They jam you. 200-pound corners. Safeties tackle really well. I mean, and they mix and match their coverage as well. They do a really good job.
And talk about Anthony Brown, the quarterback. He was Player of the Week in the ACC. What type of quarterback is he?
You see his confidence growing. I mean, now he's throwing the ball better. The quarterback runs, the bootlegs, the nakeds, but he's throwing the ball better, getting in comfort zone, getting him in now the right plays and the checks. What they do in the running game, he has to check and move those guys around. He's doing a really good job, and they're very talented in the backfield, the backs, and what they do. And they're going to pound that football and create a lot of eye violations and a lot of different stuff that you just don't play against.
Thanks, Jimbo. Good luck.
Thank you, Chris.
Jimbo, with the process versus the results, and obviously you've stressed process since you've been here. When you evaluate yourself and your coaches at the end of the year, how much is just, our record is our record, and that's how I'm going to judge us?
It's why is it your record? You have to understand. That's like I tell our players. When you do something, why? And that's what we constantly evaluate every week. We break why did that happen? We go back and look at practice. Did we practice enough? Did we coach it enough? Did he get enough reps here and there? Did the guy get this? Did we... is that the situation we wanted to call it in? Is that the situation? I mean, you got to know why. And I think that's the key to just like we do every week with a game plan and what we're doing, how we're coaching it. Be the same thing at the end of the year. I do the same thing to myself. Nobody evaluates me or criticizes me more than me and everything that goes on. Nobody, not even close. Or I second guess myself 38 times to make sure I can verify every call I make, every decision I make, everything I do. You know what I'm saying? So we constantly have to understand that why.
And I don't know, I'm sure you did. Lamar Jackson's long run, his 51-yard run. DeMarcus Christmas runs 50 yards downfield and makes the tackle.
That's what I say. You see the heart and desire. There's no lack of want to. And that was a great player who, we got one little gap, just about a half a man out, and he splits it, and he makes a guy miss. But you see the desire to play, the heart, the energy, the love to play. There's no quit in him. It's there. It was an unbelievable effort on the play. I mean, to see that deal, it shocked me. When he did it, I had to double take and say, was that Christmas? I mean, all the way down there at 50 yards away.
Can you use that as a teaching tool?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
We
we make examples of every day in the game. Offense, defense, but we have a good and bad, I say the good and bad tape. You know what I'm saying? These are things we did good. This is why, and you show them why when you did this right and you did this, you had success. When you had failures, and this is why you did it. Then we have effort tapes. If there's poor effort, bad effort, good effort. You know what I mean? These are, and when you want to, as I say, they say, well, you like him better than me. You know what I do? I'll go pull out 4 plays and I'll show that guy running around. I don't like him. I respect him. From what he's doing, I respect his knowledge of what he does and how he plays and how hard he plays. We constantly show those guys those things to, this is what we want. I mean, because most athletes and most people are visual learners. And you say, well, give effort, run hard. Well, they think they're running hard, and they're not. This is what running hard is. We even go back to past teams of the 80s, 90s, our past teams. Teams I've coached before that film I have. This is what I'm talking about, to always give those guys visual images of what we want and how we want it. But those things, we do those constantly. Constantly.
You remember LaMarcus had a play like that against
Hey, the one he had, I've shown 100 times, where he blitzed off the side, he run, he dove, he circles all the way around, they throw it, he goes to make a tackle, falls down, gets cut, jumps up, and the guy's going for a touchdown and catches him at the other 20. If you look at the number of yards he ran on the play, it was like 160 yards. Go look at the last play of the national championship. Do you remember the double pass? When they threw it all the way over, then brought it back and did the whole thing down the sideline. If you look, the first guy to cut the ball off when they threw it out there was Marcus Joyner. He stops when they throw it back, and if you look, there's a picket line starting to form on that side where he could have got outside, and a guy like Nick Marshall getting down there with 1 or 2 guys, he could make you miss. He's the guy who split all the way back down on the 40 on this side after being on that side and got in front of it and cut it back to where the rest of our guys could make the tackle. Those things are constantly, we keep highlights and records of those things and show guys, when you hear me talk about guys that they say, Coach, man, you love, I say, yeah, but here's why. One, he was a great guy, but these are the things that he'd adhere you to. You know what I'm saying? His heart, his passion. You show him all the time. Oh, I think it's one of them. I definitely do. You're talking about a 300-pound guy, 51 yards down the field, and who he ends up tackling? That's a classic. It really is. Wish you'd been 51 yards the other way. No, I don't mean that, but you know what I mean. But that is. It shows there's no quit or heart or desire in that thing.
Jimbo, with the way you guys lost and how emotional it was, how tough is it on a short week to get the guys focused and get back into it?
I don't think on any week it is. You either do it or you don't. Nike's saying, just do it, is about as good as it gets. And what I mean is, all right, you remember that feeling you had walking off that field? We got to put that behind us. It's tough, but you got to put that feeling, because that hurt. That still hurts in their heart, hurts in my heart, hurts in our coach's heart, hurts in everybody's heart that coaches and does anything with these players. That's never going away. You actually, the games you remember, that'll be a game I'll remember forever. I won't remember the wins. I couldn't even tell you a lot of stuff about the national championship. I can tell you everything about those games there. And you use that as motivation, and you don't want it, and you move on. And you got to drive, and that's what's got to push you.
Coach, you talk about, the team's effort, we talk about Christmas. When they give so much effort and still lose, does the loss have a chance to kill that type of effort, to kill that desire?
No, you should build on it. Because then you show them exactly those 3 or 4 or 5 plays. Now, what were you thinking here? Where was your mindset? All right, this is how close you are. You've come, it's like, I've climbed all the way to the top of the mountain. I don't jump off. You're pushing toward it. Why would I jump off? If I'm going to go that far, I'm going the rest of the way. And you show them you've went that far. Now, this is how you have to hit the peak. And you have to play these key moments and key situations with a certain mindset and a mind thought. And you teach from it. And as a coach, those are challenging, yes. Because as a human nature, man, your first human nature is, man, why? But then you look back, that's not who you are. That's not what the spear on your helmet stands for. That's not what you want to represent. That's not, and you got 2 choices. You either fight or you lay down. I'm not going to lay down.
Jimbo, with the benefit of hindsight and all the publicity, do you kind of wish you would have ignored the fan that was kind of over the top?
No, not one bit.
Okay.
Because I don't expect that out of our fans in our stadium. We're walking off the field, and I'm walking off the field, and I'm looking at the hurt and watching our kids cry. And I look at the coaches, how hurt they were, and coaches' kids are standing right there by the tunnel, and they're sitting there listening to a guy in our own stadium. I expect that in another stadium. And I understand they're hurt. And in the print and the media, Say what you want. You guys do your job. You do everything. I respect. That's part of what goes with coaching. That goes with it 100%. But to hear one of our fans reaching over saying that wasn't to me about our coaches and in front of their own kids and in front of their own players, I don't one bit. That doesn't belong there. And after not a heartbreak, not one that we went out there and dogged and kids didn't give effort and coaches didn't play hard and guys didn't give it all out. They laid their guts and their heart and their soul on the field. And for one of our fans to sit there and say that after that excruciating, that painful loss, walking through that stadium, one of our fans, which I'd have never thought in 1,000 years. In the media, on social media, that's all. Listen, guys, that goes with the territory. But to do that there, I don't regret it one bit.
And any update on Keith Gavin's rehab? How's he coming along, Coach?
Just more. He just time. It'll be a little while probably.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that, why do you have the right coaches in place? Why is there not a need for a coaching change to facilitate things because you're so close already?
We're coaching a season. Our coaches they're right there 3 plays away. We got to teach them how to do it. They have done it before. We'll continue to do it the rest of the year. I have total confidence in our coaches and what they can do and the situation we put them in. We got to learn to coach 3 to 5 plays better and get them to understand how to play them better.
Jimbo, a lot of people ask us that about you making changes in the middle of the season. Have you ever been on a staff that made changes in the middle of the season? What would even be a positive?
I watched, and Terry Bowden walked out and quit. I mean, at Auburn, and it fell apart. I mean, coaches, players. I mean, you know, they forced. I mean, I say walked out. They forced him out of the hand and did it, and it wasn't a good thing for players, coaches, or anybody involved. That was the only time ever.
And after the game, James has played so well in fourth quarters, and he played well in that fourth quarter. How much did he blame himself for that play?
He totally does. Because he put the ball on the far pad. I mean, that same play, we had run 3 of the last 8 plays and had gashes on. He was handing it off. He just put the ball in too far, and when he come back, both guys, one clamped on the ball, and when he did, he clamped on his arm, and when he pulled it out, he caught his arm, and it disrupted the ball. I mean, it was just a simple handing the ball off and running, and he does. I mean, totally. I mean, it matters to him. And you know what? I don't mean this in a rude way to him. He'll remember that forever. That's a learning experience. I had 1 or 2 of those when I played, and I still to this day. And then when you're a great player and it matters like you do in the situation and the care like he does, it will hurt him. I didn't, wish it wouldn't, but at the same time, those are burdens you have to carry as an athlete. You see the commercial with Michael Jordan all the time. When I got cut, or Serena Williams, I had the worst loss in biggest upset ever in tennis is why I'm motivated. And that'll be a thing I think that'll push him because I know his mindset, push him to be a greater player.
But he had to take that extremely hard on Saturday night.
It killed him. I mean, that's what I was talking about when I was walking off that field. I mean, when you see the hurt in their eyes, the care in their eyes, there's not a lack of effort, caring, or desire. We just got to learn to do it, and I got to make sure that every time he puts that ball, he puts it right on the belly button in practice, so he doesn't know any other way. His elbows are bent, knees are bent, eyeballs down. He's watching. He looks down, he puts it right on it, and we do it. And we'll do it 100. We'll do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Jimbo, James, obviously, the first couple games didn't have any turnovers. The last few he has had some of the interceptions. Is that is it trying to make plays that aren't there?
Well, no, and you're expanding things you do. You're expanding. You put a little more on it because you eventually you got to keep progressing, and you got to make. And not all the turnovers are on him. Sometimes guys have made a slight mistake on a route or something, but most of them are. But that's what's going to happen is you expand his knowledge of what he does, and you're trying to because you have to go expand your offense to score more points. People are starting to play what you do, and we had lots of opportunity. We've moved the ball extremely well, but you got to take some chances in there, in what he does. And sometimes with a young guy, there's going to be a poor decision or a poor throw. I mean, like one of them was neither one was really a poor decision. One was a poor throw, and one was a miss, just a hair off, wish we had turned the other way. One we just underthrew about a foot and a half, and we had a good situation. But those are going to happen because you got to go. You got to stretch the field at times. You got to do things.
Coach, I mean, just sticking.
And hopefully they don't happen. We'll continue to coach them until they don't.
Just sticking with that fan, why do you think a fan would spend his money, come to Doak, and then yell at the home team?
Because he loves it. Because it's passionate, and it means a lot to him. Listen, I understand fans' passion. I have no problem with that. I mean, because he loves Florida State too. He was just showing it in a different way that I didn't think was appropriate at that particular time. You know what I'm saying? I have no ill will toward him. But at that time, to say it in front of our coaches, their families, and their players, and then one of our fans, I wish it wouldn't happen there, especially at that time. But at the same time, you know, he loves Florida State. I'm sure he does. You know? I didn't expect it, you know, at that time. And if we get it all the time, stuff we get in opposing stadiums, that's nothing. I think that's where, you know, that's what shocks you a little bit. You know what I mean?
Just
but I understand the frustration.
Just dovetailing off Jordan there, did the administration or anybody have a talk with you about what happened on Saturday?
About what?
About the interaction with the fan?
They knew it happened. I told them it happened. They saw it.
Okay. And also, at 2-4, you were on staff the last time the program
2009.
Yeah, 2009. Just how much does the bowl streak and trying to keep that up and everything?
Don't worry about that. You understand that, and you're just, again, that's like wanting to win the play, wanting to win, and not executing the play. We understand that's out there and all that's good, but what we have to do to get there is stay in the moment now. You can't use that. See, that's a big picture thing. That's exactly what I'm talking about I don't want our players doing. When you're lining up to win the play that wins the game, you're not thinking about winning the game. You think about executing the play. That's all you think about. And right now, if we want to go to a bowl game, all we got to do is execute this week's practice so we can play well against Boston College and play well against Syracuse and play well against Clemson and play well against Delaware State. It does no good to think about it.
Jim, I know you probably weren't expecting this season, but it's been a few weeks that now you're relying on a true freshman quarterback and a true freshman running back. How do you kind of navigate seeing the potential and kind of dealing with, you know, some freshman frustrations and things like that?
Well, you do, and because, you know, and then the things you have to you know, you think you have to be successful in the game, and that's part of it. And you had to explain it to him. That's like James and I. We have a tremendous relationship. He loves. I mean, we have interaction on the field. It looks like we're just, hey, you got to do this. Yeah, and he has the same kind of passions I do. That's why it's fun to coach him. But you have to understand, again, it's always not what you want to do, it's what you can do, and where they are in their development that allows them to make certain plays. And you got to pick your moments to do things. And as they grow, it's going to expand out there. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things. You know, people say, well, go no huddle. Well, how many plays? I mean, now increase it 90 plays. That he has to make 90 decisions instead of 60. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it all sounds good in general. I'm just using that for an example. But there's things you'd like to do, but you know, their development doesn't allow that. Just like a child. You want them to do algebra. Well, when they're 10 years old, they ain't doing algebra. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're doing math and they're subtracting, adding, and dividing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but there's still enough of that and talent enough to make plays. You just got to pick out how you do it and who you use to do it. And that's one of the key things and components. And that's the thing I think it makes it, we feel so bad because we're right there on the cusp of those young guys being able to handle all this. And we just got to get them to make that one play at the right moment.
Do you think that how the season started, you guys would probably maybe loosen the reins a little bit, do some other things, or maybe?
Excuse me?
Would you be more free to call certain plays?
You got to worry about their development. You can also ruin them. You can run it and take all of his confidence away where he never goes out there and plays worth a flip. And because if guys ever have total disaster areas at those positions, you can run them just as quick as you can make them. And I don't know. I wouldn't, because we still have a lot to play for, and we still have 6 more games to play, and we're going to play every bit of it to do what we think we can put them in the best position to be successful.
Jimbo, what in the world's gone on with Boston College's offense the last 2 weeks? You look at these scores, and they don't look like Boston College scores.
The
what have they
quarterback's
done?
gotten better, and the quarterback runs and throws. They're running the football against the Louisville team was 14-7 with 2 minutes to go in the half. You know what I mean? And they broke a run. And in the second half, they got control and got some they've got confidence, got over that hump. You know what I'm saying? And made plays and done well. And then this week, they played on the road at Virginia and did very well. That's the thing. They played both those games on the road. And they weren't even home games. But they're running the football. The quarterback's doing a much better job, I think, man. He's just making good decisions, good throws. He's growing up, getting better. He's athletic, hard to get on the ground. The backs, you got to respect. And then I say the diversity they create with all the, 2 tights, 3 tights, and all that stuff and what they do. And they've done a really good job.
Jim, are you getting the effort you want out of Tavares McFadden? The reason I ask is the last 3 games, I think he's got 3 total tackles, and I know that can be deceptive, but I just wondering.
That corner can be. They didn't think he played poorly in the game. I mean, and when you're a cover guy and you're the backside guy and you're poaching, a lot of times you're in a lot of man coverage. So when you're in man coverage, you can't come off and go make tackles. If you're in zone, you can. You know what I'm saying? And but he's playing solid football. He's playing solid football. I tell you what, he did a heck of a job catching punts the other day. I mean, you see him now running through this, I call running through the smoke. When those guys are getting there, getting used to getting those balls, I thought he did a real good job of fielding all the balls the other day in the game, too. Did a really good job. And saved one of them on a bounce that hit way on the side and then got us back out, saved us 10 or 12 yards. Did a real good job saving a lot of yards, which helped calling plays getting out of there.
It looked Saturday on the sidelines, you guys were using the poster cards to get some of the play calls in. Just what led to they had the red, green?
They were just blocking signals.
Okay. Never mind then. Well, now we know.
Now you know.
Jimbo, you made the comment after the game Saturday that sometimes it never comes for a team. You said that you can work and work and work, and sometimes the inches never come, but you have to keep working.
Mm-hmm. Or you don't know when they're coming.
Or you don't know when they're. Could you talk the adversity this team's gone through and what they're going through now? Are you confident that these guys it's going to be a rewarding experience for them no matter what happens this season?
I do, because they're going to grow. Because I think they will get it, because I see, like you said, the Christmas play, the other play. I mean, you see guys laying their heart and souls on the line. When you walk off the field, you're not laughing, joking. I mean, the hurt in their eyes, the crying, the tears, I mean, it's there. We just got to continually show them how to do it. And it's that close, and that's how quick it can go away. I mean, it can, I say, not understand those little, that line is very fine. You got to, and they believe in us, and again, how they practice and their attitude, I definitely think they will get there. I really do.